Hi there, welcome to the first lecture of this module in designing and governance the computing solutions. And we are going to learn more about the design a governance solution. As we talked in the previous lecture, we are going to talk about 7 different learning objects within this module, right? But with respect to this specific lecture, I have redesigned the entire concepts in a better way to understand or better way to present to you. That being said, you can think about a typical Azure hierarchy with a four levels for your designing any kind of Azure governance, which includes your management points, subscriptions, Azure resource groups, and Azure blueprints. I'm pretty sure that by this time you know what it is, but you might not know how to design. That's why you are here to learn more. But in the previous slide, we also have the Azure policies and Azure tags that I have separated here because this comes under governance strategies, my friends. Just remember here this word governance strategies. How do you strategize? Means you could use your policies and resource tags to go on a strategy based. So a typical Azure hierarchy has these 4 levels as we discussed, and we're going to deep dive all of these. But just to explain what these 4 are in case if you're quite new, happy to explain here. The first one would be the management groups, which will help you to assign and create a compliance policies, all of that stuff, which is just to the tenant root group. I'm going to talk about tenant root group, but just to understand, management groups are here, and this is where you can create a policies and the access. And coming back to the management group, it contains or it holds your subscriptions. So that's the next level. And we also call subscriptions or billing boundaries. Let's say there could be R&D department or there could be your production. So both can be separated with the logically with the help of subscriptions. And also subscriptions will hold the resource groups. These are the logical containers into which Azure resources are deployed. So the last one would be the resources. So these resources, for example, you could have your SQL or maybe automation account or maybe virtual machine or web applications. All of these things will stay as under your resource group. So you could create a resource group for maybe a front-end web servers and have your automation account or maybe your virtual machines, all of that stuff into one resource group. So the resource groups will follow the life cycle of your resources. Let's say you could easily delete the entire resources if you want to delete. In this case, let's say here you have a VNet and virtual machines, all of that stuff. If you want to delete it, you could happily do it by deleting this resource group because the resource group holds the resources. So that's the 4 different typical example which I'm going to give you, and we're going to deep dive how to design the management groups. This is where the actual concept comes into the picture. Before we move to the next slide, just wanted to explain here a tenant group. So tenant root group consists of all the management groups, right? So it consists of all your management groups and subscriptions, and this group will allow the global policies and the global Azure role-based assignments can be applied at the directory level. That's where the tenant root group will come into the picture. That being said, we will end up here within this short lecture, and we will catch you in the next lecture with designing management groups.